When devastation rips your old life away, the question isn't if you're going to rebuild, the question is how you're going to rebuild. In this video, we're going to unpack the very first step in rebuilding your life after loss. We're going to help you redefine who you are post loss, and we're going to teach you how to rise with hope without leaving your loved one behind. Hey there, I'm Kelly Nielsen, and after experiencing my own personal deep grief, I created a faith-based, neuroscience-informed process that has helped hundreds of people find real recovery. So let's dive into today's topic. What is the very first step to rebuilding your life after devastating loss? Well, it might be surprising for you to find out that the very first step is not actually taking a step. Before we can step forward, we have to calm everything down in our body. We need to bring stability back to our brain because our brain has been overwhelmed and traumatized by the loss. So most likely your brain is stuck in kind of a fight or flight situation or fight or flight stance. You might be on high alert. Your amygdala is looking for all kinds of information to try to justify where you're at. And that, my friend, is not a good place to make plans or to find hope or try to move forward. The very first business we need to tend to is calming down our nervous system. We need to let our mind and body know that we're safe, that we're okay. We need to let the reality of the loss sink in. But not only that, we need to process it through so that our minds can feel stabilized in order to start to make plans to move forward. Now, depending on how far long ago your loss was, this may be resonating with you that, yeah, obviously I can't make plans to move forward. It's only been a few weeks after the loss, or maybe a few months after the loss. But another thing I find is that a lot of people, even if it's been several months after the loss, it may feel like the right time to start moving forward, but their brain may still be stuck in that trauma response state. And no matter how much time has gone by, if your brain is stuck in the trauma response state, that is not a solid place to start making plans, or it's very unlikely that you're going to find lasting hope or healing in that place. First, we need to tend to the condition of your brain and your nervous system. Then we make plans to move forward. So if this is resonating with you, whether it's shortly after the loss or it's been a while after the loss, but you recognize that your brain is in this heightened awareness and or shock survival place, I want you to check out the link in the description for some additional tools that we can help you unpack all of that. But if you have recognized that that's you, we need to do a couple of things to let your brain know it's okay to be calm, it's okay to move on. So a couple of quick ideas for that is just a daily exercise. Your daily habits are the substance of your life. Your brain loves consistency and patterns. So the more consistency and stability we can give your brain, the more it will ease off of that trauma response. So just incorporating a daily practice, a daily walk, daily journaling, daily repeating sentences or truths that you find to help you feel safe and grounded, even literally saying that you're safe. I know it sounds crazy, but literally telling yourself that you're safe every day helps your brain to calm down and understand and even be ready for the work of healing and recovery and moving forward. So those are a couple ideas for you. Again, if our brain and body still perceive a threat, if they're still in that heightened state of trauma response, it's not conducive. It's not impossible, but it's just definitely stacking the odds against you to try to work through healing and certainly how to redefine yourself and redefine this life post loss. But I want to transition on. Let's say you've done some of the work to calm your brain down. You're no longer living moment by moment. You've gotten your feet underneath you and you want to start to look at the work of redefining who you are this side of the loss. Who are you this side of the loss? And how do you begin to build a life that doesn't leave your loved one behind? I find so many people feeling guilty for making plans or feeling guilty for having fun or feeling guilty about being excited about their future because they feel like it is betraying their loved one. That if we heal, if we have fun, if we have things to look forward to, it means that we don't love or miss our person. Or we may also think that if we heal, we're going to forget our person, that we're going to leave them behind, that if we learn how to think about good and positive things, that we will no longer think about even the sadness or the fact that we miss our loved one. But all of those things are not true. Grief does not equal love, right? Love is bigger than grief, and we can carry our love forward with us without the pain of grief. That is absolutely what's possible for you. It doesn't delete the past, right? Our memories are always going to stay with us. And actually, the more we hang on to our memories and bring them with us going forward, we don't have to do that from a painful place. We can look at our memories with fondness, with gratitude, with joy and love in our heart, and move forward without guilt, without shame. This really begins with a place of surrender. If you're trying to hang on to your loved one, and if you're so afraid of moving forward that you're going to lose and let go, I want to encourage you to know that you can move forward. You can let go of the pain, and you can still carry them with you. You can still incorporate them and their memory into your plans going forward. You're not going to wake up one day and just have amnesia and have them be erased from your life. That's not how grief works. That's more importantly, though, that's not how love works. Our love stays with us, and our love connects them to us for all of time. Okay. So let's remove any sort of guilt around the idea of healing, guilt around the idea of being excited for your life. I know that you know logically that your loved one would want you to enjoy the remaining time that you have here. And so you just have to remind yourself of that and really lean into that, even doing it for them, right? Imagine that you're meeting them at the end of your life. You're coming face to face with your loved one, and you're going to fill them in on all the things that you did between the time they left and the time you rejoined them. What do you want that story to be? What are the things that you want to be able to share with them that you did, that you experienced, that you learned, how you grew? What is the story that you want to tell them when you come face to face? That's a powerful idea to contemplate. And if you work your way backwards from that, work your way backwards from you're being reunited with them, and what are all the things that you want to share with them when you come face to face with them? That's a powerful position to be able to move forward in a loving way. Okay. Now, the last thing we want to talk about is, who are you even after this loss? You're in this new season, you're trying to figure out how to move forward. But I know that if it's been any amount of time after the loss, you are changing and you have changed. It can be so disorienting. It can be so confusing. Your relationships change, your body may change, your employment may change, your social circle may change. So many things have changed because of this loss that it can be hard to even know who you are anymore, especially depending on the relationship. If some of your identity was tied up with that, right? Like if you're a mother that lost a child, how do you even reconcile that? Are you still a mother? Are you not? If you lost your spouse and you were a wife or a husband, what does that mean for you now? Okay. Now, none of these things, there isn't a black and white answer to this. There's just room for curiosity and contemplation. You get to answer the question, who are you now? You can look at yourself and look at the pieces of you that were there when your loved one was there. What are the things that you recognize you've carried with you this side of loss? And what are the pieces of you that maybe have changed or evolved or grown or you've outgrown? What are the pieces of you that you find that you're leaving behind? I want to encourage you to really get to know and then love and accept this version of you. Whether your roles have changed or you even perceive your identity changing because of this loss, get to know and love this version of you, because this version of you has so many things in front of you still. This version of you has things to, explore and learn and discover and do and experience. We don't want to miss out on any of that, right? So I want to encourage you to just love who you are right now and not attach yourself or find identity in the label of the loss, right? Like, I'm a parent who lost a child, but I don't find my identity in that, even with this work that I do. For me, like, losing a loved one is something that happened in my life, an experience that happened in my life, but it doesn't change my identity, right? It profoundly changed me, but it doesn't change my identity. I think it's a slippery slope for us when we put on these labels that change our identity, and or we find our identity in those labels. I think it detaches us from who we are, and it detaches us from the opportunity of experiencing joy and experiencing new things and being curious about things when we label ourselves in that way. Now, spiritually, in the faith-based part of it, there's two things at play here. First of all, surrender. The surrender of the pain of the loss, the surrender of the way things were, surrendering what you thought was going to happen with what actually happened, like letting that go and surrendering that and trusting God with that. But then going to God for what is next? What is our next season? And our identity truly comes from Him. And who you are to Him and who He created you to be has been the same the whole time. He has designed you in a unique way that only you can embody. And this loss actually probably highlighted certain parts about yourself that you didn't even know that you had, that God put in there before the foundation of time. So get familiar with yourself, explore those sides of you, get curious about it and talk to God about it. Let Him be your source of identity. Let Him tell you who you are and let your identity be rooted and founded in that. The last thing I want to let you know is that you're not broken. You're not wrong. You're in transition. You're in this confusing, muddled, in between place. But just because it's confusing and just because it's hard and just because it's painful, let's not despise the process that's happening here. You are transitioning from how things were to how things are going to be. And we may look back and wish we could go back to the way things were. But if we keep our eyes focused on that, we're going to miss out on what potentially is coming down the road. So I encourage you to lean into this process, do the work, grapple with these things with yourself, and certainly reach out to us if you want some practical help to grapple with these topics. But I am here to tell you that peace and clarity and a future that you're looking forward to instead of just surviving is available to you. And we would love to help you get there. So if you're wanting some more help, you can check out our next video that talks about literally what happens to your brain when you're grieving and how to unpack it.